If you keep waking up at 3 a.m., your body might be trying to warn you about something serious, something deadly. According to neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, this could be one of the most overlooked signals your nervous system is trying to send. This isn't just about poor sleep or bad habits. It's a biological alarm going off inside you, and what's causing it might be a silent killer, something quietly disrupting your health from the inside out. Let's begin with the first system to send that warning signal: your stress hormones. The cortisol spike, your body's emergency broadcast. At around 3 a.m., your body is supposed to be in its deepest, most restful state. This is when healing should happen. Your muscles recover, your brain consolidates memories, your immune system resets. Everything is designed to slow down and repair. But if you're suddenly wide awake, alert, restless, maybe even a little anxious, it's not just a random disturbance. It's not just a bad night. There's a high chance your stress hormone, cortisol, just spiked. And that spike isn't harmless. Cortisol is your body's emergency broadcast system. It's released by your adrenal glands as part of your natural stress response, meant to help you handle immediate threats, like an accident, a confrontation, or even intense mental strain. It gets you out of danger. It sharpens your senses. It tells your heart to beat faster, your lungs to breathe deeper, and your brain to stay alert. In those moments, it's life-saving. But when it shows up at the wrong time, like 3 a.m., when your body should be deeply resting, it turns from a helper into a silent saboteur. According to Dr. Andrew Huberman, your cortisol levels are designed to follow a healthy rhythm. They're meant to be low during the night and slowly rise toward the morning, gently waking you up with energy and focus. That's what a well-regulated body does. But if your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, is out of sync, everything shifts. Your body starts firing cortisol too early. Your nervous system enters alert mode hours before it should. And that surge can be strong enough to snap you out of sleep with no warning at all. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles subtly tense, your brain lights up as if it's preparing for a threat. You might not even know why. You just feel on. That's not simple insomnia. That's your sympathetic nervous system, your built-in fight or flight switch being flipped in the dead of night. And that's not normal. That's not restorative sleep. That's your body rehearsing survival. The trigger might not even feel dramatic. It could be a dozen small things stacking up: emotional pressure you never talk about, endless multitasking, never truly resting. That extra hour on your phone late at night, scrolling beneath the glow of artificial blue light, all of it teaches your brain that the day never really ends, that you're never really safe to shut down. Over time, this becomes your baseline. Your brain starts expecting stress around the clock. And 3 a.m., that becomes the hour it anticipates danger even when there's none. It becomes hardwired, predictable, a restless, wired, exhausted kind of normal. But here's the truth. Nighttime cortisol spikes don't just ruin your sleep. They create long-term damage you may not notice until it's too late. They suppress your immune system. They elevate your blood pressure. They disrupt your hormones. They feed inflammation, chip away at your mental clarity, and raise your risk of heart disease, anxiety, depression, even cognitive decline. This is how breakdown begins. Not with a loud collapse, not with dramatic symptoms, but with something as small and quiet as waking up in the middle of the night. One time, then again, and again, until it becomes your new reality. So the next time you open your eyes in the dark and reach for your phone, pause, take a breath, ask yourself why your body brought you here, because your nervous system might not be confused. It might be setting off the first alarm. And if that alarm keeps going off without action, your blood, your metabolism, and your heart could be next in line. Blood sugar crashes, the metabolic red flag. Your brain runs on fuel. And when that fuel dips too low, especially in the middle of the night, it responds the only way it knows how. It wakes you up. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., your body naturally goes through shifts in blood sugar. These fluctuations are part of your circadian rhythm and usually go unnoticed if your system is stable. But if your blood sugar regulation is off, if you're eating erratically, dealing with chronic stress, skipping meals, or developing insulin resistance, those gentle fluctuations can turn into sudden, dangerous drops. And that's when your brain hits the internal panic button. It doesn't ask politely. It doesn't wait for morning. It sends a surge of stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol to flood your system, forcing your liver to release glucose and raise your blood sugar. And that flood often triggers your 3 a.m. wake-up call. You jolt awake, heart pounding, maybe breathing fast, sweating lightly, or feeling an odd sense of urgency. You reach for your phone, you look around, but nothing explains it. Nothing except the silent metabolic imbalance happening inside you. This isn't just a bad night's sleep. This is one of the earliest and most overlooked signs of metabolic dysfunction. It's your body telling you something's wrong, long before a blood test ever could. It's how prediabetes, insulin resistance, and low-grade inflammation begin, not with symptoms in the daylight, but with patterns in your sleep that are easy to dismiss. Andrew Huberman and other leading researchers have pointed to this connection. When your body can't regulate glucose properly, your nervous system becomes more reactive, especially at night. Your brain, sensing fuel instability, triggers your fight or flight system in the dark, pulling you out of deep sleep just to stabilize your blood. Instead of recovering, your body is now scrambling. It's fixing problems that should have been handled earlier, through food, through rhythm, through rest. The worst part, you may not feel a single thing during the day. You might have good energy, normal appetite, no warning signs, but your sleep tells a different story. Because at night, when your distractions are gone and your system is stripped bare, your body finally reveals what it's been holding back. These 3 a.m. wake-ups are not harmless. They are early-stage warnings that your metabolic engine is starting to misfire. Your body is trying to regulate blood sugar through emergency signals instead of efficient processing. And when that becomes a pattern, the consequences extend far beyond sleep. Metabolic instability doesn't stay isolated, it spreads. It stresses your adrenal glands, overactivates your cortisol cycle, exhausts your energy systems, and eventually impacts your cardiovascular health, your cognitive clarity, and even your mood stability. All of that begins with one simple imbalance, your body running out of fuel when it needs it most. So the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., don't just assume it's anxiety. Don't tell yourself it's just getting older. It might be a biological crash, your body losing its balance at a critical hour and doing everything it can to get your attention. And if you ignore this red flag, it won't just affect your sleep. It could set off a cascade that puts your heart next in line. The heart's dangerous window, 3 a.m. and sudden death risk. You might think your heart is at its calmest when you're asleep. After all, sleep is supposed to be a time of recovery, of lowered blood pressure, slower heart rate, and full body repair. But the truth is, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your cardiovascular system enters its most vulnerable window. It's a shift point, a biological transition where your body begins preparing for the next day and where even the smallest imbalance can become deadly. This is the time when your blood pressure naturally starts to rise, slowly lifting your system out of rest and into a more alert state. Your heart rate is meant to follow suit, gently increasing in response to circadian cues, hormonal shifts, and the coming light of morning. But if something's wrong, if your heart is strained, if your blood vessels are inflamed, or if your nervous system is overstimulated, then this early morning rise doesn't happen smoothly. It happens suddenly, it happens erratically, and the consequences can be fatal. Multiple studies have shown that sudden cardiac events, including heart attacks, strokes, and arrhythmias, peak in the early morning hours, especially right around 3 a.m., not midday, not late at night, right in the window where your body is supposed to be transitioning from sleep to wakefulness. And the most terrifying part, your body often senses the instability before your conscious mind ever does. You don't need chest pain. You don't need numbness in your arm. Sometimes all you need is a subtle shift, a strange tension in your chest, a moment of unexplained alertness, a wake up in the dark that doesn't feel like stress but doesn't feel like peace either. That's not random. That's not a dream. That might be your heart asking for help. Dr. Andrew Huberman has spoken about heart rate variability, HRV, and sleep quality as windows into your overall nervous system health. When your HRV is low, when your sleep is fragmented, when your stress hormones are firing unpredictably, your heart is quietly absorbing that burden. And if your cardiovascular system is forced to operate under constant tension, spiking cortisol, poor glucose control, shallow breathing, sleep deprivation, those micro stresses begin to compound. They begin to weaken your heart's resilience. And then one night, perhaps at 3 a.m., you wake up. You're not gasping, you're not panicking, you're just aware of your pulse, aware of a heaviness in your chest, aware that something inside you feels off, even if you can't name it. That awareness is your nervous system stepping in. It's not waking you up to rest. It's waking you up to protect you. This is why these 3 a.m. wake-ups are so important, because sometimes they're not about poor sleep hygiene or anxious thoughts. Sometimes they're about survival. They're about your heart carrying a silent load and your brain wired to detect danger, sending a signal to check in. If you've ever had nights where you feel the beat of your heart for no reason, or lie still while your body feels anything but calm, or sense tension in your chest despite everything being quiet around you, don't brush it off. That's not your imagination. That's a biological warning. It's a sign that your cardiovascular system is under stress, a sign that your body doesn't feel fully safe, even during sleep, a sign that something beneath the surface is demanding your attention before it escalates into something irreversible. So if your 3 a.m. wake up keeps happening, don't ignore it, because some of the most dangerous threats don't strike when you're moving through the day. They strike when your guard is down, when you're asleep, when your system is unprepared, when you're not even aware that anything is wrong. And in those moments, your nervous system will always be the first to speak. But sometimes it's not just your body that's under threat. Sometimes it's not your heart that's out of sync. Sometimes it's your past that refuses to rest. Trauma in the body when memories don't sleep. There's a reason the world feels heavier at 3 a.m. The noise is gone, the distractions are quiet, the screens are dark, and your mind, finally free from the chaos of the day, begins to speak. But sometimes it's not speaking from the present, it's speaking from the past. This is the hour when your default mode network becomes most active, the part of your brain responsible for internal dialogue, self-reflection, and processing memories. During the day, it's often drowned out by tasks, conversations, and responsibilities. But at night, when everything slows down, it rises. And if you've been through trauma, whether you're fully aware of it or not, this is often when it surfaces, not through dreams, not through thoughts, but through the body. According to Dr. Andrew Huberman, trauma doesn't live only in your memory. It embeds itself in your nervous system. It reshapes the way your brain communicates with your body. It changes your physiology, often without your permission. It alters how you respond to silence, to stillness, to vulnerability. And that's why, even if you seem perfectly calm during the day, your body might jolt you awake at 3 a.m. for no apparent reason. Because the memory you've buried, the tension you've carried, the fear you've suppressed never actually went away. It just waited. You may wake up feeling emotionally heavy or confused or restless in a way you can't explain. You might feel tightness in your chest or a dull ache in your gut. You lie there staring at the ceiling, and suddenly you're thinking about people you lost, conversations you never finished, regrets you haven't touched in years. And in that moment, you wonder, why am I feeling this now? It's not weakness. It's not overthinking. It's not just bad sleep. It's your nervous system replaying what it never had permission to release. Trauma stored in the body doesn't ask for a convenient time. It speaks when the body is still, when the mind is soft enough to hear. And over time, if those emotional signals go unacknowledged, they begin to harden. The emotional stress becomes physical stress. Your brain becomes more reactive. Your cortisol cycle becomes unpredictable. Your inflammation rises. Your heart rate stays just a little too high. And your sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, more vulnerable to being broken by what lives inside you. That 3 a.m. wake-up stops being about poor sleep hygiene or a racing mind. It becomes a signal of unfinished business. You don't need to have survived war or violence for this to apply. Trauma takes many forms. Sometimes it's chronic stress from childhood, growing up in a home where you didn't feel safe. Sometimes it's emotional neglect, never being told your feelings mattered. Sometimes it's the result of pushing everything down, pretending to be okay just to survive the day. But no matter the form, your body remembers. It always remembers. So if you keep waking up at 3 a.m. and can't explain why, if your mind fills with emotion the moment the room turns still, that might be your body asking to feel safe again. Not out in the world, not with other people, but within itself. Because as long as trauma lingers, stored in your cells, your breath, your posture, your body stays in defense mode. It becomes hyper alert, overprotective. And that constant tension doesn't just affect your sleep, it feeds the next layer of breakdown, the one that starts quietly, but becomes deadly if left unchecked. Chronic inflammation, the true silent killer. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but it could be silently damaging every major system in your body, night after night, year after year, without a single obvious symptom to warn you. This is the real threat behind the 3 a.m. wake-up, chronic inflammation. It doesn't scream. It doesn't leave bruises. It doesn't bring the kind of pain that forces you into a hospital. Instead, it works like a slow fire, quietly, persistently, eating away at your resilience, your energy, and your internal balance. And by the time it shows up in your lab results, the damage may already be well underway. According to Dr. Andrew Huberman, inflammation is part of the body's essential defense system. When you're injured, infected, or under threat, your immune cells rush to the scene. They clear out damage. They rebuild tissue. They fight for your survival. That's acute inflammation, and it's life-saving. But when that same system stays switched on, when your immune response never gets the signal to calm down, it becomes toxic. What once protected you now starts attacking healthy cells. It creates collateral damage inside your body that compounds over time. And the most dangerous part? Chronic inflammation doesn't start with disease. It starts with disruption, a little brain fog, a slower recovery after workouts, a dip in your mood, a restless night, a wake up at 3 a.m. for no reason at all. These aren't glitches. They're the first quiet indicators that your internal environment is under siege. At 3 a.m., your body is supposed to be in its deepest healing phase. Your cells should be repairing, your tissues regenerating, your hormones resetting, and your immune system restoring balance. But if chronic inflammation is present, that healing cycle is blocked. Instead of renewal, your body is flooded with stress chemicals. Your nervous system stays activated. Your heart beats a little faster. Your breath becomes more shallow, and your sleep gets disrupted, shorter, lighter, fragmented. That's why you keep waking up. Not because you're aging, not because of external noise, but because your body is inflamed and overstimulated, and it no longer feels safe dropping into deep rest. Chronic inflammation has been tied to nearly every major degenerative disease: heart failure, stroke, autoimmune conditions, digestive disorders, cancer, depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, and Alzheimer's. But it doesn't announce itself with dramatic symptoms. It arrives as a pattern. And one of the earliest patterns is the kind you're most likely to ignore: a consistent, unexplained 3 a.m. wake up. What causes it? Often it's not one thing, it's everything. The food you eat, the chemicals in your environment, the air you breathe, the stress you internalize, the thoughts you don't express, the emotions you bury, the late nights, the lack of movement, the blue light at midnight. It all stacks up. It creates silent pressure on the body, and your immune system, trying to protect you, ends up stuck in a loop, attacking more than it heals. And while you sleep, your body is trying to recalibrate. Your nervous system, wired to keep you alive, becomes a hypervigilant guard. It stays alert to every signal of imbalance, every stress hormone, every blood sugar dip, every elevated heart rate. And when the pressure becomes too much, it wakes you up, not to inconvenience you, but to warn you. So if you find yourself waking up again and again at 3 a.m., this may not be a sleep issue at all. It may be your body's final attempt to get your attention, a red flag, a whisper before the scream, a moment when your system says, "I'm overwhelmed, and if you don't listen now, I may not be able to keep up." Because inflammation doesn't always wait until you feel sick. It doesn't wait until your diagnosis. Sometimes it starts with tiny alarms, a change in mood, a shorter fuse, a craving, a fog, or a restless night that repeats itself over and over again until something breaks. But here's the good news. Your body is still fighting. If you're waking up, it means your system is still aware, still responsive, still trying to protect you before real damage is done. These wake-ups are not failures. They are warnings. And warnings mean you still have time. You still have a choice, a window, a chance to make a shift. And that brings us to your next move, because what you do after this wake-up might change everything. The last warning, before the real damage begins. If your body is waking you up at 3 a.m., it's not failing you. It's protecting you. It's easy to assume something's broken when your sleep keeps getting interrupted. But what if the interruption is the most intelligent part of your system still doing its job? What if that sudden wake-up isn't a malfunction, but a last line of defense? Inside you, systems are always listening. Your heart, your brain, your hormones, your immune response. Even when you're unaware, they're scanning, adjusting, trying to keep you balanced. And when something feels off, when the pattern shifts or the rhythm falters, they don't wait until it's too late. They send signals, subtle at first, a missed breath, a brief tension, a moment of fatigue, then louder, until finally, they wake you. That 3 a.m. wake-up you keep brushing off isn't just inconvenience, it's a moment of intervention. It's your body stepping in and whispering, something's not right. It might be cortisol misfiring from too much pressure. It might be blood sugar crashing from poor regulation. It might be a heart that's quietly overstressed, a gut that's inflamed, a memory you haven't faced, or a slow cellular inflammation that's been building for months or years without detection. But no matter the source, one truth stands out. Your nervous system always knows before your conscious mind does. That's what makes this so powerful. The mistake most people make, they ignore it, they roll over, they grab their phones, they try to force themselves back to sleep without stopping to ask the most important question: why am I awake right now? Most people never pause long enough to consider that the body might be trying to communicate, that the wake-up itself might be a gift, an early warning that something can still be addressed. And that's why small problems are so often missed, because they don't show up with sirens. They show up with stillness. Dr. Andrew Huberman often emphasizes the importance of recognizing patterns, especially patterns that repeat when the world is quiet. These aren't just random disturbances. These aren't shallow sleep issues or aging quirks. These are part of the body's deep biological intelligence. These are built-in safeguards that only activate when something threatens your internal stability. And when you start listening to them, really listening, everything changes. You start to recognize the story behind the signal. You notice the misfiring stress response, the irregular breathing, the wave of emotion that only comes when you're alone with yourself. You catch the early warning signs before they become illness, before they take root as disease. Because the real danger isn't the wake-up itself. The real danger is pretending it doesn't matter. It's ignoring the signal, suppressing the discomfort, scrolling through it, distracting yourself into silence, waiting until symptoms start showing up during the day, by which time they've already dug in, they've already started spreading, they've already turned the whisper into a scream. So here's the truth. That 3 a.m. wake up, it might not be a disruption. It might be your body's final quiet warning. And what you choose to do in that moment, how you respond, could shape your future health in ways you don't yet realize. The next time you open your eyes in that still, silent hour, don't curse it, don't push it away, don't rush to numb it, pause, breathe, and listen. Because what feels like a nuisance might actually be the signal that saves your life.